Hello, my Unspoken Truth family. I know it's been a minute. We have truly been gaining our strength, and we promise to take out a few episodes before the year ends. In the meantime, I thought it would be great to just take a moment and reflect on 2023. We all have to sit back and look at the achievements, goals, and even the unexpected bumps along the way. It's time to reflect on the smallest wins and acknowledge the losses, the heartbreaks, and the lessons learned. This year might have been a great year for some and a nightmare for others. I can only speak for myself. This year has been by far the hardest year I've ever had. I can count the amount of nights I slept with tears, the amount of time I felt helpless, the amount of times my center was unaligned. Maybe I'm still unaligned. My conversations with God and my ancestors muted because of the disconnect. I woke up every day and showed up for everyone around me. For once, that's the only thing that got me going. Having to be there for my friends, listening and being that shoulder in the midst of me crying internally. Having to be a new mom, such a blessing. And having to navigate that space, had to juggle going back to work, whilst having to make sure the things I love, my passion projects, did not suffer along the way, and having to show up for myself. Such a new territory. Wasn't so easy. Wasn't so easy on myself. Wasn't so kind to myself. Being a new mom after 13 years has been truly the hardest. Challenging, testing, but truly a blessing to look at my daughter's eyes and hear her giggle and her unconditional love that she gives me, and I receive it. She's my peace. I mean, my son is still my peace. She's the additional piece. Navigating married life. Surely a new territory. And understanding how to have conflict resolutions, because no one truly prepares you for that new chapter. You're only led by love and trust, nothing else, until you hit a few speed bumps. You walk away when you're in relationships. You just walk away, you break up, you shut the door, you don't talk to that person. But when you're in a marriage, it's a new territory. You can't act like the way you used to act when you're single, or you can't act the way you used to act when you're in a relationship. Now this is a solid commitment, a solid union that you need to navigate through, that you need to understand. And I realized that, like Michelle Obama said, everything is work. You have to put in the work to get the results you seek. An incredible chapter of being a missus and no longer a miss, no longer for the streets. I lost 11 months of not being able to hold a book and read or take the time for myself to meditate. Very new territory that I'm in right now. It's new and I'm not sync, though I'm embracing every change of it. I shook myself though on how I managed to cope this year without knocking at my therapist's door or calling in for an appointment. I guess for the first time in my life, my pillar became my mother, who on the other end of the phone had to bear with the venting and a few tears. My little sister who showed up each week to help cook, clean, just be there for the very first time in her life, seeing me having a breakdown as I had reached a moment of despair. My village of friends that prayed with me when the words could not come out of my mouth. I also had moments I looked at my phone and felt like no one would understand what I was going through, and asking myself, who do I call? I second-guessed myself in those moments, though I made sure I'd come back and be kind to myself. I realized that a lot of people were there for a season and a reason. In moments, I guess, when the people I was there for are no longer there to knock at my door to find out if I'm breathing. In moments, I felt like I was drowning and grasping for air. I longed for the people I showed up for once in their life when they were drowning and grasping for air. But in that moment, I realized that everything has its season and a reason. And in the season that I was in, I just truly needed my family. Nobody else but my family. So I had to be kind to myself and remember that everybody was going through something, And I wasn't exempt. But I know in those moments that It was tough. It was truly tough. I lost a relation I cherished. And I guess the people around me will never understand the loss, but I'm moving on. Healing a day at a time, having to make sure the door that I shut isn't filled with hate or resentment, but instead placing myself in a place of peace and setting solid boundaries. My therapist once said that the day you start setting hard boundaries, people will notice. Others will be affected, but do not change to suit them. Always remember to take care of your own sanity. Since those words, I've learned to do just that. Hold on to my sanity because that's all I have. And people take that for granted. And I urge you all to have solid boundaries, hard boundaries. And even if people feel it's unfair or they don't like it, it's not about people who do not like it. It's about you and your peace and your sanity. It's hard for people to comprehend hard boundaries. People associate hard boundaries with not having the room for forgiveness or having a room for resentment, but that's not the case. Sometimes hard boundaries is shutting out what you no longer need, just the noise, because it's in the noise that we get lost in ourselves and the things we stand for, you know. But Jesu fike ekuseni sebethi baqedile nawe ebusuku, simply meaning Jesus comes in the morning when your enemies think they had defeated you at night. This gospel song has gotten me through this year. Indeed, I had enemies thinking they would have had the last laugh. Instead, the joke was on them. When depression would have been the only way, but nope, I fought a big fight. Because in moments where we're in despair, you know, we have people that cause the despair. We've got people that bring the stress, the people that bring the despair, people that add that fuel in that fire. But you get to realize that God remains a consistent God. You get to realize that your enemies are just testing you and you will come out victorious. You fight a big fight. And that's my message to you, even in the moments where you're being tested at home, family, friends, work. Fight a big fight. Fight a big fight. Fight for your sanity. Fight for your peace. Fight for your understanding. That's all you've got. We only have to live this life once. And if we're living it once, we must make sure that in this temple that we're in, we show up for ourselves the best way that we can. And even in the moments that we can't show up for ourselves, we have to try find a village that holds us up to get there. As we end the year, I urge you all, my Unspoken Truth family, to sit back and reflect on the year and acknowledge the losses and celebrate the wins. This life we live is not guaranteed at all, so we need to make the most of it. Wake up and show up and face the challenges head on. Even when it feels impossible, I urge you to just try. We do not know how 2024 will be like, but we can only have faith that it might be the year of peace, love, joy, abundance, financial freedom, and blessings amplified. You all know that Unspoken Truth podcast is about telling real stories and sharing thoughts in hopes that whomever gets to listen needed to hear these truths and be motivated to do better and be better and know that they are not alone. So thank you for your unwavering love and support. Even when we do not upload new episodes, you continuously stream available content. We appreciate it. I promise to drop 2 episodes before the end of 2023. And we can only hope that 2024 there'll be more consistency in what we do. We cannot promise though. We can only give from full cups and not empty ones, especially when we're aiming to give the best content and our truth. This isn't a celebrity interview podcast. This is a podcast that should have you thinking and challenging yourselves. May we all live in a life of truth. May we stand in our integrity and mostly vibrate in our higher selves. I thank you.
The Unspoken Truth is the catalyst for important and thought-provoking conversations that need to be had. The network tackles social ills, spiritual healing, soul-searching, and mental health awareness. To subscribe, click on the show link to follow our podcast and be part of the Unspoken Truth family. Find us on all social media platforms.